Welcome back, all you Fabricant and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show reviews. And today we're going to be reviewing episode 4 of Reservation Dogs season 2. And it's entitled Mabel, coming to you from Hulu and FX. So, was it good? Was it bad? And should you be watching? Episode 4 of Reservation Dogs follows up immediately on the previous episode where, surprise, surprise, Elora Danan has returned to the res. And unfortunately, it's not for a good reason. It's because her grandmother is dying. Grandmother who has essentially sort of raised her. And what follows from there is like whatever beef Bear may have had with her or whatever, it's all out the window because now it's all hands on deck. And the family and friends all gather around as they sort of hold vigil while Mabel, the grandmother, is bedridden and dying. So this episode is interesting for several reasons, but one of the main ones is because this is the first episode that's co-written by Devery Jacobs, who plays Elora on the show, and she's already done production and whatever. She's directed before, but this first time as a writer on the show, and also it is a very much an Elora focused show, which is one of the things that this show does well. It slows down and focuses on particular characters, which isn't to say that there aren't other people going on. In fact, this is basically a roll call, if you will, of all the actors who have been in and out of the series so far. And we also get a new face. That is, I want to say it's Aunt. Let me make sure I get her name right. But we have her aunt who comes in that she hasn't actually seen in a long time, if like a very long time. Before I get into what this is all about, I'm just going to say straight up, absolutely love this episode. This is possibly the best episode of the series, but definitely a super emotional episode. I laughed and I cried. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Straight up, had tears leaking and was like trying to hold it in throughout the episode. Because it's funny, and the thing is I love kind of having the sing into this family and this friend circle as they kind of gather around because one of them's is dying, and how they all rally for Elora, and it's like a family reunion of sorts. That the sort that I suspect everyone is pretty familiar with this sort of thing. This isn't, the great thing about this is we do see the native culture and how, how they deal with death. But you know what? It's awfully similar to way I suspect a lot of people have very similar, things where, everyone gets together in the house and they're sitting and they're praying and, they do, holding the vigil, but also making food and sitting and talking and kind of catching up. That sort of thing is what's going on. And so, kind of crowding into this small house. And I love just seeing something as simple as Willie Jack, making coffee, and or they're kneading and pressing fry bread, or making food, or everyone's sort of sitting around in the living room. And everyone's sort of helping out, but also catching up. And we get to see everybody. Big, the sheriff, the police officer. He comes back. We Uncle Brownie. You have the reservation. Rez Dogs. They're together for the first time in a long time, and there's no beef or animosity. I loved just the fact that they were able to just hug it out with Elora because she needs them. At this time, as her grandmother's dying, they also brought Jackie into the mix, which may have seemed odd, and even to Bear and Cheese and Willie Jack, because they don't like her. But the truth is that I thought that was a great and inspired touch to have this young woman who's clearly not in touch, with the reservation or anything like that, but she knows she's native and hadn't made fry bread or anything like that, and they still kind of, she's included, and I think that that was something that was important and needed because she's not a bad guy. I love seeing her, sort of hover around unsure, and then slowly but surely she becomes part of it. As she said, "Oh, I had to come here because my aunt brought me here." But the truth is, as she's very astutely pointed out, that that wasn't the reason. That she was there because she wanted to be there. And I think Jackie's getting a little redemption is really nice. But for to be honest, this is mostly about Elora. I mean, Bear did have a moment with Spirit where Spirit more or less like, "Hey, you need to tell your friend Elora why that you're there for her." And that was great, but the most of it, it really is about Elora sort of learning more about her grandmother that she didn't know, because her mother had died years and years ago, so she only kind of knew a grandmother who was really badly affected by her mother's death, but she comes to find out more things about her mom and her grandmother and how things were, and really kind of her aunt coming uh, you know into the picture was nice, that she could sort of have that connection to her mom and to her grandmother, and this all culminates as you see Alora sort of learning things and trying to come to the grips with the fact that, hey, her grandmother really is about to pass away, and the way everyone tries to support her in that, and then to finally actually see the death and all that, it's very moving. Like I said, I couldn't help it. I cried during the episode because it really was, that well. It did really well communicate the emotions and the gravity of the situation, and seeing Alora not really sure how to deal with it, and until she just runs out sobbing. And one thing I've said before about Spirit and how he talks to Bear and to Uncle Brownie. I love the fact that that's a thing in this show. So Alora gets to see her grandmother one last time as a spirit before she moves on to the next wherever, and it's really quite beautiful and funny and everything. Like, because this episode could have just been really really heavy and just full of just tears, but it's got plenty of funny, and everyone kind of gets to shine. But it's really about Elora and how she's processing this whole situation and her grief. And Devery Jacobs just on fire, writing and acting wise. Everyone really brought their A game to this. It was just a beautiful episode, and I just loved it. This is the sort of quality that I've been expecting, and they're just delivering. And I just cannot wait to see where the rest of the season goes from here. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the episode. What do you guys think about this fourth episode of Reservation Dogs? And what do you think about what I had to say? Get down to the comment section. Let me know what you're thinking. Of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnyS1 on Twitter. All right, all you Fabricants and Fleshbags, thanks for joining me. Come back next week for the review of episode 5. Until then, I have been Mo De Poupe, your resident fabricant and comic extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.